Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So 44-year-old Pennsylvania resident Leo Bozell IV goes by his middle name of Brent. His father also goes by Brent Bozell III, and he is a well-known Republican. He founded a bunch of different conservative organizations. He pushes an anti-choice agenda. He has worked with high-profile bigots and psychos like Senator Joseph McCarthy. So tells you everything you need to know about him. But following the 2020 election, his son, Bozell IV, posted online and he sent a bunch of text messages complaining about so-called election fraud that didn't exist, as we all know. So when Trump called everyone to D.C. on January 6th, Bozell started planning right away. He was encouraging other people to join him, and Bozell understood the significance of January 6th. The prosecutor says, he even explained it to other people, and he explained that, the vice president will be there. He explained that this is our chance to stop this, to stop the certification. And Bozell messaged people and talked about potential violence. So in one message, Bozell said he planned to take, quote, lighters and fire starters to D.C. He said he was going to be, quote, tossing the office of Congressman Adam Schiff. And on January 6th, he was seen moving past the barricades. He used one of them as a ladder to scale a Capitol wall. And at one point, Bozell was seen ripping the inauguration tarp that was set up for Joe Biden. And then Bozell was screaming in officers' faces. They were trying to stop him and the rest of Trump's criminals from advancing, and he just got in their faces and yelled. So he plowed through, they said, a total of 4 police lines. And Bozell grabbed some sort of heavy metal object that was on the ground as he was seen heading closer to the Capitol. So he got to the Senate wing doors, and Bozell used that object, whatever that metal object was, to bash in a window pane. He was striking the glass. They said he struck that section of glass at least 10 times. And then Bozell moved on to another nearby window. He hit that window at least 11 times before that one shattered. And then after other people cleared the pane of broken glass, Bozell was seen climbing into the building through that broken window. And then he joined other people. You will remember this. He chased Officer Eugene Goodman up several flights of stairs along with a bunch of other people. So he was part of that group in that infamous photo in the videos, standing with the QAnon shaman facing off against the police. So that was in an area of the Capitol known as the Ohio Clock Corridor. So Bozell broke off from that group for a brief period, and officers found him inside of a Senate meeting room. So they shooed him out of there. And then he was seen checking locked doors. He was walking through the Capitol trying to open up doors. Eventually, he joined another angry group. That group overran another line of officers inside the building. And then Bozell was seen trying to open up more locked doors. So sometime after that, Bozell was seen entering the office of Nancy Pelosi. And then when he came out, he was captured on video carrying something. Don't know what it was, but he was carrying some sort of object. Then he headed to the East Rotunda doors. He joined in with other people trying to push those doors open from the inside so the mob outside could enter the building. This is something I've mentioned when people say, oh, see, the cops were opening the doors. No, the cops were trying to get people out. So in some cases, yes, they opened the door briefly to get people out, but then people who were already inside took advantage of that, overran the police, and pushed the doors open so other people outside could stream in. So Bozell and the others were crushing these police officers. The police officers were between Bozell and the rest of the mob and the doors, and so they were literally crushing them against the doors to get the doors open. From there, he headed to the 3rd floor of the Capitol. he watched as other people were assaulting officers and they forced the Senate gallery doors open, these other people, not Bozell, but he entered. He followed them into the Senate gallery. So he was seen in the Senate gallery with a bunch of people. He was unpacking an emergency bag that was left behind by a senator. And then Bozell was recorded moving a camera that had been recording the day's events. It was obviously like C-SPAN or something. He took this massive camera, wasn't like one mounted on the wall, it was this, huge setup with an actual camera from like a news studio, and he pointed it down towards the floor. He aimed it at the ground so that it couldn't record what was going on in the Senate chamber on the floor. And then a short time after that, he moved himself to the Senate floor. And when he saw cameras up in the gallery pointing down at him and the others, he yelled up to people in the gallery and he told them, push the cameras down. So officers eventually forced everyone out. And a while later, Bozell was ushered out of the building. He did remain on the Capitol grounds, though. He was near a doorway, they said, until almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then following the Capitol attack, Bozell messaged his friends and family, and he said things like, "We got played today. Antifa led. Cops let everyone in." Also, quote, "What you're hearing/reading is not true. Cops let the protesters in. They put up no fight/let protesters do what they wanted inside." End quote. "Cops opened the doors. Antifa coordinated with Congress, DC mayor, and police to gain unfettered access." So I guess that makes him Antifa, right? I mean, Bozell was the one breaking windows, forcing doors open. So I guess he was the one, working behind the scenes, working with the DC mayor and Congress and everybody to ensnare everyone. Anyway, so Bozell was arrested on February 21st of 2021, and in a superseding indictment, he was charged with obstructing an official proceeding, 2 counts of destruction of government property, civil disorder, assaulting officers, entering a restricted building or grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, physical violence on Capitol grounds, and parading or demonstrating in a Capitol building. Bozell refused a plea deal. He opted for a bench trial. That was his first mistake. And then Bozell's second mistake was testifying in his own defense. So in September of 2023, Bozell was found guilty on all counts. And the judge wrote in his decision, quote, "I find that Mr. Bozell was not a credible witness on several fronts. Many of his explanations of his conduct before and on January 6th defy both the video evidence and common sense." So clearly, someone was given too many participation trophies as a kid. He is a victim of his own hubris. Anyway, based on just the obstruction charge, Bozell faced up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. And this time the government requested a pretty substantial sentence of 140 months in prison, so nearly 12 years. They didn't mention anything, though, about probation or fine or restitution fee, at least not in the sentencing memo, so I don't know if they requested that. As for Bozell's criminal history, he has several criminal convictions, they said, for reckless driving, driving with a suspended license, also drunk in public. He also has a history of drug and alcohol abuse, and 18 different arrests and conviction for traffic infractions. At his sentencing hearing, Bozell apologized to 2 officers who were in the court gallery. He also apologized to DC residents, lawmakers, congressional staff members. He apologized to his family. And Bozell said, quote, "It's all my fault. I put a stain on my family forever." So U.S. District Judge Don Bates presided over Bozell's case, and he called him out for the, quote, brazen lies he told during the trial. And the judge told Bozell, quote, "What happened on Jan 6 is no way to express political beliefs." So in the end, the judge sentenced him to a ridiculous, pathetic sentence, in my opinion. He refused to impose the terrorism sentencing enhancement that the government had requested. So he sentenced Bozell to only 45 months in prison, 2 years of probation, and $4,729 in restitution. So presumably that is for the broken windows. This judge is extremely weak. He is surprisingly a George Bush appointee. I mean, you compare this to the 6-year sentence that was just recently given to John Sullivan. John Sullivan, who didn't do a fraction of what Bozell did. They had similar charges, but nowhere near the level of Bozell, and they each refused a plea deal. So it was similar in that way as well. They were each convicted on all counts. The only real differences in their 2 cases are their skin color and their political affiliation. I'll let you decide. And, Sullivan doesn't care for either party, but he favors progressive policies, and he's a black man. So yeah. And yet, Bozell's daddy is out on social media. He's out there boo-hoo-hooing, trying to claim that his son was railroaded, that this guy, because of his prominent Republican family, that he got the short end of the stick. I mean, clearly daddy doesn't know what he's talking about, hasn't paid attention to these cases. Anyway, I will let you know if I hear any more about Bozell. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.